mutual love interest, by a woman named Ciara, who happens to be married to Russell and having kids with Russell. But for some reason, there's a lot of talk about Future and Russell and kind of comparing the good boy versus bad boy kind of thing. So I decided that today would be a really fun time for me to shut up and to bring in some really smart, cool Black people who can provide added perspective, because I think that we need to hear a lot of points of view in the community. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce each person kind of individuals as we go along. That way, we don't have to spend a lot of time doing every single introduction right now. But each person, I will mention them, and I'll put them big on the screen. And I encourage everybody to follow everybody who's here. Also, on this platform, just a reminder, not only is this the home for intelligent Black people, but also this is a space where we are Black first. And so that's how we can have conversations as a family. So that means if you are liberal or conservative, as long as you're Black first, it doesn't matter if you're Trump or Biden, as long as you're Black first, gay, straight, as long as you're Black first, doesn't matter what your background is, as long as you're Black first. So if you agree, put the hashtag is B1, hashtag B1, put that in the chat. If you get it, if we agree, if we all understand the same marching orders, because this is an important topic and it can trigger people. And I don't want anybody to get overly triggered to the point where we forget that we have to love each other after it's over with. All right. So let's jump into this. Okay. So let me ask everybody, I'll start with the audience and ask you all, let's start with a simple, basic vote. There was this quote that was put up. And I shared it on my Instagram page, and Lord knows there were a whole lot of comments about that. My Instagram's The Real Boyce Watkins, so I put this on my Instagram, and somebody has shared it. I do not know who shared this quote, so if you know who did, I'd be happy to give them credit. And I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna share my screen so you all can see it. And it had to do with Future and Russell Wilson, and I'm gonna try. I want you guys in one word to tell me what you think about this quote. So the quote is here on the screen. It says, "Women don't want Russell Wilson. They want Future to act like Russell Wilson. Women don't want Russell Wilson." So let's start with it. My first thought, honestly, was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? I don't even know what that means. I still am confused by that. But I'm gonna actually jump in. It's ladies first, and I wanna actually let our first guest, our newest guest, speak first. Miss Trey Kearney. Trey is a life coach and a published author and a very smart Black lady. And so Trey, Miss Trey Kearney, right? Trey. Okay. Trey, first of all, how are you doing today? And what does that statement mean to you? When you saw that statement, what was going through your mind?
I'm doing excellent today, and thank you so much for having me. When I saw that statement, what went through my mind was women don't want a man that's been with everybody either. So I don't know who said that women want Future to act like Russell Wilson. I'm not interested in a man that's been with everybody and has babies all over the place. So I don't know who even thought that was cool to say. And everybody has a preference. I mean, who wants Future? I'm not even attracted to Future. So I was confused. I was totally confused when I saw the statement.
Okay, so now, Miss Kearney, I'm going to guess that you're at least 29 years old, and so that's the age we're going to stick with. I've been 28 for about 20 years now, and so even though I know that I'm 28 years old, there are people who claim that I'm in my 40s, and these liars out here that keep telling me that I'm actually in my 40s, kind of just say, look, you're old, you don't get it. This guy's, this is more of a young person's conversation. This is what the young girls will want. Yeah. So I'm going to move to the youngest person in the group, Jeff Lightsey Jr., aka Stephen A 2.0. What do you think about when I say that? I mean, why do you think somebody might even make a statement like that? And why do you think that statement resonated with so many people?
Because in a lot of ways it's true, right? So what happens is, because even the person Russell Wilson's married to, Ciara, wanted Future before she wanted Russell. I mean, if you just break it down like that, that's simple. Because a lot of women in their 20s, I think, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of women are attracted to a lifestyle of someone like Future. Whether or not you're attracted to someone the way he looks, or the way they dress, or how much money they got, that's just the reality of it. Before Ciara, the person who honestly this quote is based around, got to her Russell Wilson, she went through her Future, and she had a relationship with Future. They have a child together. Like, that is the truth, and that's the truth for a lot of ladies across this country, across the world, right? So that is why that statement resonated with a lot of people. But in the end goal, they want to be with someone that's like Russell Wilson. Now, whether some of them ever find it or not, is up in the air, because a lot of those women that don't find it end up on Kevin Samuels, and they tell them, hey, you're 40 years old with 2 kids. There's nothing I can do for you. You know what I'm saying? So like that's like simply the reality. Now, whether that he's right or not, I don't know. I'm not a woman. I don't know how that goes. But that is just simply the truth. A lot of women, especially in their 20s, the ones that are 29 or 28, like Dr. Boyce, that they're the ones that end up having that issue, or they run into those kind of things.
Okay, so wow, he made some interesting statements. He says because it's true. Now I'm gonna go to you, Rebecca. Rebecca Samuels, she's the CEO of Pythagoras LLC, and so Rebecca, oh, and you've dated, and we talked about relationships and stuff before. I'm almost speculating that to Jeff's point, that there is the guy that women might say they want, and then the guy that they might secretly want that they ain't gonna tell nobody that they really want. Like the guilty pleasure, like how how you have this really smart, sophisticated person who secretly watches like Love and Hip Hop because they will never share it on social media, but they watch every episode. What do you think? Do you think that Future kind of represents some sort of guilty pleasure that a lot of women might have in common, or do you think it's only for women who have something honestly maybe wrong with them, like they can't see all the baby's mamas and all the other problems? What do you think?
I think, well, number one, I think the quote is wrong. There's a difference between women and girls. And I won't, try to fake the funk like girls don't want like the bad boys. Kind of like the boys who want the big booty strippers. You want the girls that got the big boobs and got the big butt, right? And when you grow up, you try to look beyond that, just like women try to look beyond that. But I think women are looking for men who are confident, men who have money, men who are leaders or control something, that show masculinity. And if that happens to fall under the bad boy type, then that's what they're gravitating towards, if that makes sense.
Okay. So, all right. So the bad boy type, gravitating toward the bad boy. Okay. So John F. Thomas, I'm gonna go to you now. So John's an award-winning filmmaker out of Los Angeles. And so John, I want to ask you this question. So you date in LA, where there's a lot of interesting characters in LA. LA, literally about 30% of LA is from another planet. I'm convinced of that. And you see a lot of the materialism and the shallow behavior, like it's who you are, how much money you have, things like that. Do you think that there's kind of an issue where you have some people who think that a guy like a Future is a good catch because he's got money and fame and everything else, and they're just like, whatever comes with that, I don't care? Or do you think that they really think that being with a guy like this is going to lead to some sort of happily ever after? I mean, what do you think?
Well, in LA, it's different being in LA than being almost anywhere else, because just like you said, it's a very materialistic city. So you have a lot of people who, like where I'm from, Tennessee, the main goal basically outside of getting out of college is just like finding a family, settling down, getting a job, kind of like in that order, in a sense, like family, getting a job around that area. But in LA, it's just like, no, I just need to grind. I need to get me focused on this and whatever. So if somebody comes along and has all of this money, which a good portion of people are struggling in LA, but if you got some money, you catapult ahead in front of everybody else. So a lot of these, women out here are attracted to the person with the fancy cars, and you might be doing something on the low and not on, not right. But for a person like me that, I'm working, I'm hustling, I'm struggling, I can't really afford to go out and eat all the time because it's expensive out here in LA to do that. So they'll overlook a person like me and like, oh, well, yeah, I'm busy with my career. I can't really, date and stuff like that. So that's a struggle a lot. So you have some of those women who are looking for a person, sadly, like a Future, or they're looking for a Russell Wilson. Some of them, and I'm not going to say all of them, do look for Future. They look for Russell Wilson, but they don't want to build with him on the way up there. Because Russell Wilson wasn't always Russell Wilson when he was at the top. Russell Wilson had to work to get there. And that person who was working on the way up there, most women don't want to struggle with a man on the way up. They just want to, you need to already have your stuff, then I'll mess with you. But if you're struggling on your way up, I'll holler at you later. Get your stuff together, then you holler at me.
I think Rebecca disagrees. She's putting one thing in there. I think that means I got something to
I'm
say.
not trying to interrupt, and I know, like I said, I expect us to have a very healthy, engaging conversation here. But it's not that women don't want to build with men. It's just that when we're in our 20s building with men, there is a common experience of a lot of Black women who have built with men who then turn around and leave them when he gets built up. So Black women don't want to build anymore. We want somebody that's already put together. We are tired of sacrificing our love, our attention, our resources, our caring, just to have someone walk away from us when they get to where they're going, and they don't pull their day ones with them for the ride.
Okay, so these hoes ain't loyal. That's what she's saying. Some of these guys ain't loyal. Chanel, now, Madam President, you live down in Atlanta. I think Future's out of Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. Just give me some of your thoughts on some of this in terms of what you saw and what chaos is kind of happening in the dating market that maybe some of us don't understand. I think you are muted.
Hey everybody, good to see you all. I think that we're missing a few key factors here. Number one, I agree with Rebecca and Dr. Trey. Nobody wants to date Future. Nobody is going around looking for their future. That's just a fact. And then number two, I think that women have always been attracted to providers. I don't think that has ever been something that women say, oh, this man can provide. I'm not interested in him. I think most women have an interest in men who can provide. Now, I do think that the brother had a good point when he said that a lot of these things, well, women for the most part, when they see a Future and they go into a Russell, I think it's age. I don't think grown women are looking at men who are going from one household to the next and creating babies and leaving them and never building, find that attractive. But I think we got a common thing that we miss in our community, and that's real. A man like Future shouldn't be able to have another child women should just be like, no, you've had enough. Like at some point, a sister just have to say, no, okay, it's not happening. Stop it, But it's so crazy that that men have always had their choice and their pick when it comes to women. Now, I want you to take a second and think about the Hollywood, right? Think about Hollywood and think about all the successful men who have their choice of women, right? They go from models to from Instagram to overseas, everything, anybody they want, somebody from the block. And then I want you to think of your most successful women in Hollywood. And if they haven't been married for the last 20 years, I want you to see the constant singleness. Taraji P. Henson is a single Black woman. Gabrielle Union took her husband from another woman. Alicia Keys took her husband from another woman. I'm sorry, but this is what happens consistently when you are a man. You go around and decide what I want. But when you are a woman, you just do not have that privilege. Look at Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey, richer than a lot of men. She could have had 12 men, put all of them up across the world. But if she would have did that, it would have been a big old problem. Oprah Winfrey's a hoe. We can't have her be a multi-billionaire. But it's something about if you are a man in this country. So we got to look at how we view male patriarchy and white supremacy and how white supremacy has molded our idea of family and family structure. I'm just saying that you saw it on Roots when Chicken George was trying to run to Master and get permission for Kizzy to go, hang out. It was problematic. And I know I'm taking y'all really far, but that kind of man was not attractive to a woman like Kizzy. So I think that as a woman, every woman have their own needs. Ain't nobody looking for a future. And I consider that, if you are a woman who wants to build something for a lifetime, if you're looking at building a legacy in your own name, in your own household, in your own community, then you don't look at men like Future to do that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what I think, and I'm gonna go to you, John. John, you're my fellow OG. Me and John been friends since way back. You know what? When I saw that quote, I couldn't understand the quote. You know, like so women don't want. In case y'all wondering what the quote was, I'm gonna share it on the screen again so we can kind of process this because y'all know me. I think we should think about things, right? I know that's a little bit weird that we encourage Black people to think, but that's what we do here. So if you look at this quote, women don't want Russell Wilson; they want Future to act like Russell Wilson. Um, at first it didn't make sense to me. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean act like Russell? Like, if Future acted like Russell Wilson, he wouldn't be Future anymore. He'd be Russell Wilson, right? Because you are what you do. My definition of manhood is you are defined by your actions. So if Future suddenly, I mean, what is Russell? What does it mean to act like Russell Wilson? Well, Russell Wilson, he plays for the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. He's a great leader. He's a great father. He loves the shit out of his wife, which apparently makes him a simp. I guess if you love a Black woman, you must be simping. I guess and he's wealthy. He's strong. He's a leader. He's an alpha. All these other things. Future is not that, right? Future's something different. So I didn't understand that. I was like, no, you're not. If because if Future acted like Russell Wilson, then you wouldn't want him because you go find somebody else who act like Future because you say, no, I don't want you because you're Russell Wilson, right? So that confused me. But then the second part was I thought about it. I said, okay, maybe one way it makes sense is this. And John, I want to go to you on this. Is that maybe what they're saying is that they might want to see him mature. That maybe when he's young, because we got a big problem. We got a lot of like 50-year-old teenagers in the Black community, 40, 45, like 45-year-old dudes who literally think that they're still 22 years old. And it's like you look at him, you're like, okay, you're like, you could be somebody's grandfather. I don't know how old Future is, but he's like a grandpa. I think when my parents were his age, they were grandparents because I had a baby, right? So I think that maybe what they're saying, do you think that they're saying maybe that they would want him to evolve as a person? Like, or what do you think that they're really saying when they even make a statement like that, John?
Well, I think what they're really saying is that they want. All right, first of all, let me start over. First of all, this bad boy archetype that has been marketed to our women forever. It's nothing new. That's for one. Right. Second of all, men ask women traditionally to be married. That's why we have our pick, because we do the picking. That's just how it goes. Now, when women reach a certain level of success, whatever the level of success is, they tend to look for, okay, well, he has to have as much as I do. Men, we don't do that. If we like you, we will get you. And it's always been like that. A rich man will get a poor woman on any given day of the week. But a woman, especially nowadays, they're in search of the high value male. That's for one. Now you got Future. He has 8 children, 8 different baby mamas. But you look at him, he's an international rap star. He is very wealthy. And let's face it, we're in the social media age. This has changed the way men and women relate to each other, and not necessarily in a positive way. So a lot of these women, they're not looking for someone who's honest, stable, different morals and things. They're looking for money. That's what they want. That's all they see, and that's what's money, material things are what a lot of women and men value today, and along with the physical. And I think that's just where we're at. Ciara, she was able to graduate from that situation. But if you look at the men that she was tied to before Future, you got Bow Wow, 50 Cent, former NBA player, Maury Stoudemire. So when she did level up to Russell Wilson, I think I'm just trying to figure out, okay, are these people mad because she finally is happy now? I'm still trying to understand that.
Okay, Rebecca's got that one finger up. Well, Rebecca, before I get to you though, I want to let Alicia jump in. I know Alicia's got lots. Believe me, I hear it. I hear it a lot every day. And by the way, Dr. Alicia is that's the Black woman I'm simping for. I get called a simp because I love this Black woman. I love her out loud, and I love her out loud deliberately because I think good Black women deserve to get all of our respect. So because I was raised by a real man, my father was every bit of a real man, but when it came to my mama, he was simping for my mama. So so my goal for any man out here is I hope you find a woman that you love enough that you will simp for her. And because I think that you judge a community by how you treat your women. And when we get to this place where we expect us to treat our women like they are dirt on the ground, then that pretty much that means you're not an asset to the community on any level. You're a rodent. So with that being said, Dr. Alicia, what say you about all? Go ahead, man.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there is something about wanting this bad boy, but then you don't want to be treated like trash at the same time. So I think with Ciara, we should applaud her. I think a lot of women should really look up to her because she may have started with a Russell Wilson. I mean, she may have started with a Future, but she ended with a Russell Wilson who is showing love and attention and a lot of respect for her publicly. And so that shows that Ciara, I mean, if you just look at pictures of Ciara from when she dated Future to now that she's with Russell Wilson, you can see that there's a lot of growth in her. And it's something that she's grown, and she's grown through her relationships. And so if anything, I think her story is very inspiring, and a lot of people do look up to her from what I could see. You know, that's part of what I wanted to say about that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you talk about the evolution, I mean, you're right. It's all like John used a great word when he said graduate. He said she graduated from Future to Russell Wilson, and it's almost like it kind of says, it speaks to this idea that says that we change as people, that we evolve. That who we were in our 20s is not who we might not want to be that person in our 30s, or maybe we learn some lessons. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that makes great sense. I mean, you just brought up a picture of Russell Wilson. Bring up a picture of Future. I mean, just look at what he looks like. He's mean mugging it on those pictures. It's hard to date someone like that, where Russell Wilson is smiling, he's approachable. When he made that comment in the was it GQ magazine or one of the magazines, he made a comment, and yeah, I mean, look at him. He doesn't look, he's smiling a little bit, but he doesn't look as approachable and as see that picture. Look at Ciara, doesn't even look happy, Yeah.
Well, it's like what I see when I see that is I just see kind of like this what happened when hip hop culture was kind of bastardized and it was kind of turned into this weird thing where these guys would create almost like these cartoon characters. Like I give a shout out to Rick Ross because he was one of the first characters to admit, yeah, I'm just a character, just like Scarface or just like somebody you see in a movie. I'm not keeping it real because none of this is real. I really am Officer Rick, but I'm gonna pretend to be, the big boss dope dealer, and you're gonna appreciate the fact that I have the music. Like I'm just like Drake from Degrassi, right? But and I like that actually because you're separating the music from reality because you got people that are really imitating this stuff, thinking this is real. So I want to ask, I want to go to Rebecca actually because Rebecca she put up that finger, and so I'd like to hear what you had to say. What brought the finger up, Rebecca?
I want Black men to understand that Black women aren't looking for money. We are looking for security, financial security, emotional security. So when we're talking about Black women and, they're just money hungry, we're looking for security. And I've said my story many times over your interview ways. I used to be in a homeless shelter. I promised myself the day I got out the homeless shelter that I would never go back. If I needed to work 3 jobs to make sure I can keep a roof over my head, that's what's going to happen. So I really want us to stop. I kind of feel like we're demonizing Black women when we're saying, all they want is money. No, we are looking for security. And if you grew up in the projects, if you grew up on government trees, you're going to know that you don't want that for your children. You don't want that for your children's children. So as we grow and mature, we're starting to think about, I'm looking for a man that can provide. I'm looking for a man that can bring something to the table. I don't want to take care of another person. I already have children. Come and meet me halfway.
Yeah, well, and you hear that a lot, right? You'll hear, and Trey, I'm gonna throw this at you, Trey, because I see your hand go up. I hear that term, gold digger a lot, and I would, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like every woman is a queen or every man is a king, because we know that would just be a big old lie. But you hear people that will say gold digger, materialistic, shallow, etc. And most of the time, I remember reading a book a long time ago about human biology and what people on average are attracted to. And they did mention security a lot when they talk to women, that ability to provide financial security is really important. And in fact, when I wrote Financial Lovemaking years ago, that was the most astonishing thing about my research for it, was I said, wow, women really are sensitive to this money thing. Like if you're mismanaging the money and doing crazy stuff with the money, they'll beat you up. They'll get madder at you for that than they will for infidelity. It seemed to me, right? So do you think that it's just, it comes down to kind of excuses, that the same way men might want a woman who looks a certain way, or whatever it is, right? Or I want her to be able to cook or take care of the kids or whatever. Well, what do women have a right to want, right? I don't. Trey, please. I saw your hand go up. Feel free. Trey is frozen. I think Trey is frozen. So we'll go. Chanel, I see your finger. We'll go back.
I think she's. Are you back, Trey?
Am I back? Can y'all hear me now?
There you are. The floor is all yours.
Oh, somebody said something about Ciara dating Bow Wow and a few other men in the industry. You date in the element that you're around. So if you're around people and you just have a connection with them, then that.
I think Trey, you think you got to check the Wi-Fi. We have that problem in our house too when the kids are playing video games. So Chanel, I saw your finger go up.
Okay, I'm going to get excited for one moment and say, what woman don't want security? Everybody try to act like it's black women gold digging. White women want men with security. Asian women want men with security. Latino women want men with security. Women on Mars want men with security. That's why black women got to get chewed out. We want you to come correct. What the hell is wrong with you? Come like you got some sense, and we are not your mama. Your daddy is your daddy. So I don't give a damn about what's going on and how you grew up and all of that. No, it's not cool. Why do you feel like, let me tell you something, when black men subject black women to the lowest version of themselves, it's a reflection of how little you care for black women. It's imperative that we come like we are decent to one another, okay? Everybody wants security. And let me tell you something. Black men who say, oh, black women this, and black men who have reached and attained a certain level in this country, they look at black women, and let me just be honest, they don't look at black women like they don't like black women anymore. In most intellectual cases, it's just that the higher black men get up to this level of achievement, the less black women are around. The higher they get up, the less black women are around, okay? You do not get in the NBA. Who do you think have access to the NBA? They're Kardashians. Why do you think men are looking at the Kardashian family like, oh, I don't like the black women that I grew up with. No, they looking like, oh shit, I came out of the hotel and Khloe Kardashian was right there. Shit.
Well, okay. So let me jump in. I'm gonna say
I like that.
Tell you, I think that black women are always a phone call away. I think we all know what a black neighborhood is, right? I think that's a choice. At least it was a choice for me. It didn't matter where my life went. I was looking for a black woman. I did not have eyes for any other type of woman. And I'll say this so. Because I think you got to be intentional, right? To end up where you want to be, you got to aim for that spot. You can't just be like, well, I woke up one day and the next thing I know, she's pregnant. I don't know how it happened. No, you made a conscious choice. You were aiming when you got her pregnant, right? So I was aiming to be next to Alicia when I selected her, right? But you make a good point though. So Madam President is speaking on.
I just want to say, Russell Wilson did date a white woman before Ciara.
Facts. That's facts.
And he rose up to the level of, I think it's rising up. So, he was in a different, he went the opposite direction, and his career took off once he got with a black woman.
Okay.
Good point. That's a good point.
Better together.
Let me go to the fellas on this though, because I think Madam President made a good point about security. And I think we all agree on that. Rebecca brought it up, and I heard Madam President reiterate that security is important. Now, here's one thing I think is important to consider and lay out there. And actually, I'm gonna take this to John first, and then I want to go to Jeff on this because I want to hear from the guys. One of the challenges, though, is as a black man, it's not as easy to rise up that corporate ladder as it is when you're a black woman. I don't care what nobody says. Studies all show that white men will fire guys that they consider to be a threat, right? And they're more open to bringing men or bringing people. In fact, actually, a study shows that the only group of people that make the same amount of money in corporate America as white males are gay black men. And you know why? Because some people just want to be next to the thing that they're attracted to, if you know what I mean. Wow. And so, and also, so when you're comparing, right, when you're saying, so you're the black woman, you're high flying, you got the education, you're getting moved up to middle and upper management, and the black man isn't coming with you because when we get to the door, they're shutting the door on us, even though we got the same degree in many cases, same everything. I think it creates a different kind of hurdle, and maybe a tough standard for some men to meet. John, what do you think about that? I mean, do you think that it's a little bit unfair to say, when someone says something like, I make 100,000, I expect him to make something close to that. Do you think that that's like pushing a little bit? Do you think that maybe you're missing the point when that's the only focus?
I do understand it. And black women do have a right to ask for that. Because just like they were saying, like a lot of other women in other cultures, they want security. So why wouldn't a black woman want security? The problem is, and it's not fair. It is not. And just like you were saying, just hear me, there is a lot of issues when you have a strong black man, and we see how media attacks strong black men. So if I'm a strong black man within a white industry, within a white corporation, I will get shunned. I will get blocked out. I will get dismissed. Same thing like if you are a very strong black woman, unless you just really bow down and bite your tongue all the time and all of this stuff just to move up and constantly sell yourself out and in a sense and in connection to your own people, then that's how you move up. But other than that, me being a strong black man and holding true to my ideals and yes, I want to be successful and I have the intelligence and I have the drive and I have the will, but all of these barriers are put into place to block me out. I have every intention to be the best black man that I can be to my black woman. But if she's not willing to understand what I'm facing against, then yeah, that really feels unfair. So I do understand what a lot of black women talking about when they say, I want somebody to equal on my level. But when you have all of these mechanisms put in place to block you from succeeding, and even in me, you have a whole bunch of black women in democratic positions that are talking down on black men. Black men are being shunned left and right. So it's even more of a push down, and it's just looking at the environment you're in, and it sucks across the board for all of us. But it's something we have to be more understanding and more sympathetic of what we're having to deal with and try to meet that area. What can we do to fix that? Instead of just, well, this is what I want. And I get it, but for a lot of us, it's like, well, what do you want me to do? I burn down. I might as well just join them white folks burning down the Capitol riot. I don't know.
Okay. So let me jump in. I've been wanting to hear from Trey. We're gonna test it out. We're gonna go out on a ledge again. I don't know what the Wi-Fi situation is, but we're gonna be patient. So because I really want to hear from Trey on this as well. Trey, what do you think about what you're hearing right now?
I never have this problem with my Wi-Fi, first of all, so I don't know what's going on. But I think that it's not, men should be able to provide, and we're in a society right now. I'm sorry, and people are calling Russell Wilson a simp because he's providing and he's doing it the way that a man is supposed to do it, and I think he was raised that way. Like I am going to provide for Ciara, whether she got $5 or no dollars. But we live in a society right now where men want 50-50 from women, but they want us to understand their struggle. Like I'm old school, and then not because I'm 51. I'm old school because I lived in an environment where my stepfather took care of my mother and he paid for everything, and where my ex-husband paid for everything. And I think that men need to understand that not that we want you to provide for us, but you should be able to provide for a household, because you would have to have a household by yourself. And they're like wanting women to come in and help them. And I'm sorry, if you're looking to be a leader, you need to be able to carry everything. And I'm not talking about red bottoms and Birkin bags. I'm talking about heat, hot water, a roof over the head, a running car, and things that are a necessity. And I understand that what the brother was saying about, it's a struggle for men, not for black men out here. But you got to work around that struggle. You got to find a way, entrepreneurship and different things. And I'm sympathetic and I have empathy for the Black man. But as Black women, we have a whole bunch of struggles too. We just find a way around them and we just deal with them along with taking care of kids and taking care of house. We just push through the struggle. And I understand that Black men feel like Black women don't support them. I'm an advocate for Black men, but you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps sometimes. And you got to be able to be a leader. And be able to provide for a family if you want to be respected in a leadership way. I'm sorry. And a lot of men have not been raised in a way where a man is a leader and a man is taking care of the household and a man is taking care of the women. We got men nowadays, you're not looking for a wife. You're not looking for a leader. You're looking for a roommate and some help. And as Black women, personally, we're really tired of it. And I see the brother shaking his head, but I've dated men who are like, well, if we going out, are you going to pay for this? Or are you going to pay for that? That's not what I'm used to. That's not what a lot of women are used to
That's not all men.
Who have been around. I'm not saying it's all men. I'm saying that in this society right now, there are a lot of Black men who expect a woman to come giving, and who expect a woman to come into a marriage and be half and half. And we got to be clear as women what we're looking for and what's acceptable to us. And we can't be concerned if a man says, well, if you can't pay half, I don't want to be with you. If you don't want to sign a prenup, I don't want to be with you. If you want me to sign a prenup from the door for me, you don't trust me. And I'm just saying that for myself. Because you can't base your experiences from other women that you dealt with and pour that on me. Because I don't want anything from you. I could provide. That's
exactly what you're doing with the Black men.
No, I'm really not. You should be able.
Everything you said was based on your experiences from negative.
No. I'm saying
Black men, right?
A Black man should be able to provide a home for himself, and to bring a woman into that home. You should not be expecting help. That's what I'm saying. You should be able to provide when she comes into your environment, and not thinking that she's going to come in and be 50-50.
So go ahead, John. I want you to get a chance to if you have a rebuttal. We're all ears. I want all the ideas on the table, all the thoughts on the table.
First of all, I'm gonna go back and reiterate: when men date, we don't look at how much a woman makes.
What?
We never have.
Maybe you can say that. Maybe you can speak for you.
Traditionally,
right? As opposed to or men like yourself. Okay, go ahead.
Traditionally, throughout history, men go get the woman they want. If she works at McDonald's, it doesn't matter. He could be a millionaire. We'll go get her. Now that women are the primary, are the larger wage earners, they are putting a economic a floor on what a man has to have, which most men don't usually do. Now, for instance, you got women that'll say they want a high value man. This man has to have 6 figures. Now you have blue collar workers and tradesmen. They may make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, but they are still spurned by those same women and looked at as less than and not qualified because they don't make 6 figures. That man has his own house, has his own business. He might have his own business, but he only makes $70,000 a year, and that's not enough for a lot of women. They want someone who makes 6 figures plus, which is 10% of Black men in this country. So you got all these women fighting for 10% of the Black men in this country.
That's not true. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna be quiet after this. Y'all are getting your facts wrong. Y'all are basing this on other. I don't. That's not the caliber of women that I'm around. So I don't know what circle of women that you're going around, but that's not the caliber of women I'm around that I've ever been around, where a woman is expecting a man with 6 figures. The women that I've been around, we expect you, like we've grown up, to maintain a household. Anything outside of me wanting a fur coat and me wanting red bottoms and me wanting pocketbooks, that's on me. But traditionally the bare necessities, it doesn't matter if you're a janitor, it doesn't matter if you're a CEO, you need to be able to have the bare necessities. And I think that men are getting that wrong based on watching the Kardashians and based on watching media. But real live Black grown women, that's not what we doing.
I think that this is a good thing, because I think what's happening here is it's like we have this vision what Black women and Black men want, but there's this major disconnect between a Black man and a Black woman. But I think ultimately everybody want, healthy households, a community environment. So, but we still haven't really mastered how to get that, because we haven't even. First of all, we need a level of empathy. Black men and Black women need a level of empathy with one another, which means that Black women can't go around expecting Black men to break down all the barriers that they can't break down. And Black men can't expect Black women to break all the barriers that they can't break down. If we are going through this system the way that we've been going through it, which is alone, we're going to continue to have a problem. But the moment that we decide to go to this system together, now here's another thing. It's going to require some togetherness. You're right. Black men may not have $100,000 alone, but guess what? If you making 75 as a Black woman and he making 75 as a Black man, then you got 150 together. Now you can also control your debt, control your income, control where you go, how you do it, control if you rent, control if you buy. So the things that we do have control over, we need to have control over. Now here's what's unfair. And the thing that I consider to be unfair from a dating perspective is a lot of times we have unrealistic standards for one another. You want, like a Black man could say, I want this woman to pretty much cook for me. And, and I want to be able to make babies with her, and she cook and she clean. Well, guess what? Women can't cook and clean for you all day and go out and work all damn day. You can't have it all. You have to decide. So if you want a woman to cook and clean, then guess what? You need to come with the pocketbook that let her stay at home and cook and clean. You want her to lay on her back and have your babies, then come with the dollars to let her lay on her back and have them babies. But you can't expect her to go to work, have your babies, cook and clean, and then just be like, yeah, she'll go digger. No. I think we all need a level of compromise with one another, because we all try to fight this system. I think we all trying to do what Ruby D and Ozzy Davis did. That is grow old together, live your dream, build your families, and die old as hell. I think that's the ultimate goal. But if we are against one another, we just can't get there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying with the whole. That's what I'm saying with the whole empathy thing. Like I understand that women want security. Hell, I want security for myself too. But with all of the stuff that's set up in place against Black men, hell, against Black women, we have to have more empathy for one another. But also, that doesn't mean just let everything slide, but hold one another accountable. Also, hold yourself accountable. Like shit, I can't sit here and let myself slide, on certain things. Or the person that I'm with, I want her to push me too. Like, hey, man, you said you wanted to do this stuff. Now you talking about being this and that. You need to go out there and get it. Like, let's get it. We a team. We need to, okay, cool, and vice versa. I'm like, hey, man, you talking about blah 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 blah. We need to, just like Chanel was saying, there needs to be more unity, because the way that we're going right now, and where it's just like we're talking at each other without really listening to one another, it's just gonna keep continuing this circle to where we're not coming together.
Well, let me hop in on that and say this. I was hearing both of your points. I heard Trey and I heard John, and then everyone else, of course Chanel and everyone else. And one of the things I can tell you in terms of sharing a piece of information about our relationship. One of y'all mentioned that. I can't remember. I think Trey hit on it, and then someone else mentioned it, and we talked about just the difference in the economic landscape that's being faced by Black men and Black women. I'm completely convinced that white supremacy is a war. I'm convinced that the male is the primary target. Mass incarceration, all that. Eliminate the male, then you can just conquer the whole community. And so one thing I can say is, in my experience, I remember, when I finished my PhD and everything, I'm up here thinking I did everything right. I'm thinking I'm going to be fine. And I remember I ran into white supremacy. The same white supremacy I met at the top of the ladder was the same white supremacy I saw at the bottom of the ladder. And So Alicia and I are in the same profession. We are both, scholars. We both have the similar credentials, but our journeys in academia were very different. I got blackballed. I had to start a business in order to become economically successful. If I was still trying to operate in her space, it wouldn't have worked. In fact, I don't know if you remember this, babe, but I talked to the people at your university many years ago before we even started dating. I talked to them about a job, and they didn't want me because I'm too me. Right. And I don't blame them. Right. Even if I was them, I would fire me. You don't want a black man like me on your job if you are white. I get that. Right. But I had to create a new path. And so that's why I'm such a big believer that black men have to, if you want to be a king, you got to learn how to build a castle. I do not think they're ever going to elevate black men the way they promote other people. And so I wonder if that's part of the process too, is to say that that we're going to have different channels for success and sovereignty. And then also to the point earlier when somebody said our goal is to have healthy families and healthy communities. Well, is that always the goal? Is that what everybody wants? Because I know our oppressor doesn't want us to have healthy families and communities. And I feel like half the black people don't want healthy families and communities. And I'll say this, and I actually want to go to Jeff because Jeff is the youngest. And I want to ask you about this. There are people that seem to have this feeling that there's this thing where it's like, okay, you're in your 20s, you're a hardworking guy, you're doing your thing, you're building the future, and you're being passed by some women that might prefer the bad boy. And then you get a little bit older, though, right? So when Jeff becomes a big shot and he's on ESPN making all that money, that same girl will circle around and be like, how you doing, Jeff? I haven't seen you since college. You want to meet my 2 kids that I had with that raggedy bastard that I was dating back when I was turning you down, right? And so Jeff would feel a little bit resentful after that. What do you think? I mean, I've seen people that have had that experience. What are your thoughts on that, Jeff?
Yeah, because that definitely happens to a lot of people. What I will say, because I want to address some of the things that were said earlier, I think by Madam President and Miss Trey and Miss Rebecca and obviously Dr. Alicia. Like you all say, you don't want a future, and that's true. Like where you're at in life, you don't want a future. But that's not the case, right? For everybody, right? Future doesn't have 8 baby mamas. I think what John said, he has 8 baby mamas by 8 different women. He ain't doing that by himself. Somebody out there want future, like it ain't happening by accident. And I think where the simp comes from, I think what Dr. Boyce was talking about earlier, the whole simping, Russell Wilson, and there's a lot of people, probably people in this audience right now, that prefer the lifestyle of a future as opposed to a Russell Wilson. Whether that's smart or not, that's for us to debate. But that's just the truth. I actually saw a comment in the chat where somebody said future greater than Russell Wilson, and the reason why people think like that because that is what's mass promoted, right? The lifestyle of Russell Wilson isn't the reality for a lot of people in our community, right or wrong. Like that's just the truth. Where Russell Wilson, I think his parents are both still together. His parents were professionals. His parents I don't think they were rich, but they had money. Like he went to college, he had scholarships, he played baseball, he played football, and then he made it to the NFL and became one of the highest paid players in the NFL. That's not a reality for a lot of people. Like that's not the background that a lot of people in our community come from, right or wrong. That's just not. The background the future comes from is the reality that a lot of people from our economic areas and our background and people that look like us come from. They come from the slums and they look like Future made it from nothing. And so whether, like his lifestyle or not, that's why a lot of people relate. And then the fact that he makes music, right? Music it touches the soul to a lot of people. Some people might like football. Some people might not like football. A lot of people think football's dumb. They just think it's big, strong men running into each other. But music, it's always going to relate. Whether you think it's horrible, mumble rap, or whatever, it's going to touch a lot more souls than football. So that's why Future has a core group of audience and has a lot of people that he relates to. What I will say as far as the men versus women thing, the 50-50 thing, I think Miss Trey hit a lot of great points. But one thing that I will say that she kind of left out is the rise of what we call feminism. Right, the rise of women wanting to be economically independent, the rise of the black woman saying, I can do it without a dad, I can do it without my baby father in the life, and that plays a role in relationships because a lot of that is being mass promoted, right or wrong. That is something that is being promoted. You can do this, you can be Stacey Abrams or Kamala Harris or whoever and do it without a man, you know what I mean, or do it with a white man in Kamala's case, right? So a lot of that is being promoted, and that I think also is what gets a lot of guys to lean over and say, well, man, if I can't find a Ciara, then I'm gonna just go out and be a Future.
I just want to say that.
Well, hold on, Madam President. You said a lot, and I know Rebecca and the Dr. Alicia haven't spoken for a while, but after those two go, I'd like to hear what you have to say. So, Miss Rebecca and then Alicia, I'm not even gonna ask a question. Y'all both smart enough to have your own thoughts on this. What are you hearing, Rebecca, and what are your thoughts so far? You are muted.
Apologize. Seems that the men have a really big issue about this, right? For example, as Jeff was talking, a comment popped up, a couple of comments popped up, but one caught my eye in particular that says, as a man, why would I want to deal with somebody else's kids and I didn't create them problems? I'm like, wow. You know, I was just in a Clubhouse chat earlier today where it was talking about Black men healing. Women were not allowed on the panel. And we were discussing that Black men need to take care of each other, which includes the children. If you don't want a single mom, don't date one. Okay? Don't date one. But it's like a really big thing that, well, man, you passed over me and you wanted that dude, and now you had 5 children by that dude. Now you're trying to come back to me. Like, I don't understand that mentality. If I see, I was never the attractive woman back in the day. I was the nerd, right? Had a child very young, but I was the nerd. Guys that passed over me, if they came up to me now and said, hey, I see you doing good, you got that good job, looking good stuff, I would not sit up here and get offended by it. I just say no thank you and move on. I don't understand. Is it an ego thing with the men? Why is it such an issue that Russell decided to marry someone who already had children with someone else, and they're like internalizing this situation as their own, and they're completely offended by it? Russell's a clean up guy. And it's like, but that's his choice. And you have the choice to do the same thing or not do the same thing. This is the mentality I don't understand, and I hope men can explain this.
Well, it's more so of like, so Russell, I guess, let's say Russell didn't know Ciara before her dealing with Future. So in that situation, if I don't know you and you already have a child, and this is a good portion of dudes that I know, I'm not saying all guys, but a man doesn't have a problem talking to a woman who has kids, even if he may know her, whatever, fine. But the issue that most of these same men have is just like, hey, I really liked you and stuff in high school or whatever in college. You completely passed me over, curved me to the side. And now that I got some money, now that I got shit going for myself in my late 20s and 30s, now you want to come, oh, well, you know, I always liked you. I always knew you was going to be special. I always knew you was going to be. And it's like, oh, hell no.
But she's making a good point, though. She's basically saying, why can't you just take it as a compliment? Like I mean, I'm sure we've done that, right? Where maybe there was the big girl at school and you never looked at, she's the big girl with the big glasses and you never looked at her. Then she went out and got a fitness trainer and then suddenly she's got your attention. Would that make you a bad person, or would that be a compliment to say, hey, you know, you're looking real good now. You've upgraded, and so I'm interested. And then, like Rebecca said, you could say no, thank you. So, but I want to actually dig into that point, because, and I know Alicia, you haven't said much in a while, and I think this is the perfect time to bring you in, because that's what a lot of people say about us. People don't know they don't know our background. They know I met Alicia years ago. But I saw a couple videos where, of course, it's the whole simping thing. I told y'all I'm man enough to be okay with. I will simp over this woman every day of the week, because I honor her immensely. Also, because I'm also a bigger simp. You had children, and I love them to death. Children are not little problems to me. Children are little blessings, little opportunities. I love children, and I think that makes me more of a man, not less of a man. But then also, there was that I heard also another, we should address that, right? There was that other weird little rumor where people were like that Alicia she didn't want you until you became Big Dr. Boyce and this and that, which I thought was so hilarious. So first of all, she was married to someone else most of that time, right? So that's the first thing. But then second of all, what's hilarious is that you didn't even know about all this other stuff I was doing, you know, and so but to that point though. So we ignore. I just kind of laugh. I'm like, yeah, well, you know, people say that I'm a complete simp over you, and I'm like, yeah, baby, I'm a simp over you forever. But I think that just sort of these perceptions, right? That children are little problems. That, you know, which is really a problem. That's a concern when you have grown men that say things like that, because that really indicates that you have a large segment of your men who are raised to never understand that part of manhood means taking responsibility for something. right? Taking responsibility for your community. If these men literally think that the children that represent the future of our people are dirty little bastards who don't deserve to any concern whatsoever, then I mean, can you depend on these men to defend the community? You know, and has white supremacy won because it's gotten your own men who are supposed to protect you to neglect you and to abandon you? Those are my thoughts on that. So, Alicia, I'd like for you to go ahead and jump in, and then we can go back. I know Chanel, I know you have something to say, but Alicia, go ahead. What are your thoughts on that bit?
My thoughts are that, you know, I'm sitting here looking at what's called the blacklovechannel.com. And I have not heard one person on this panel talk about love at all. I've heard you need to have security, you need to have money, you need to do this for me, you need a woman. I heard women's roles need to be a certain way. And not once have I heard anyone talk about love. I mean, what about love? You know, I don't care how much money you make. You know what I mean? If I don't love you and we don't have that sort of bond and connection, it's not going to happen. Like money and that sense of security, yes, it is important, but it is not the only thing that's important. You know, it's how you treat me. It's the level of respect that you have for me and that we have for each other. That supersedes everything. You know, why can't two people build together? It takes a lot of power, honestly. You know, I say, let's put Ciara up on a pedestal. Let's put Russell Wilson up on a pedestal, because it takes a lot of power to make yourself vulnerable enough to open your heart to a woman in the first place. And if showing and to shame a man for showing authentic love for a woman out loud, you know, shows that you are damaged, like completely damaged, if that is something. And, you know, I think like perhaps maybe Russell Wilson is making people feel inferior and inadequate as a man because they know they could never do what Russell Wilson is doing. You know, it's tapping into their own sense of insecurity, and they are threatened by real men like Boyce and Russell Wilson and all the tens of thousands of men out there who are real men, by the way, you know, who are doing what they're supposed to do, and they're loving their spouse out loud.
Well, Chanel, I want
to showing healthy love at all.
Well, you know, Madam President, I'm gonna go to you now. And I'll tell you this. You know, what I was raised on was I had a very masculine father. He'll probably be accused of having toxic masculinity. Like he's literally murdered people. Like yeah, when he was in Vietnam, of course. But you know, and I saw him. You know, I saw him just go through situations where he would be challenged as a man, and he always rose to every challenge, whether it was finding a way to provide or dealing with somebody who was a threat to the family or whatever. I just saw that from my father, and that was my blueprint. That was my template. I feel sorry for men who don't have that. And but one thing I remember seeing was when it came to my mother and when it came to his family, he was also strong enough where he was completely okay with having that vulnerable side. You know, where you know, my mama came in yelling, saying, "I want this and I need that." He would fold to that, not because he was a weak man, but because he said, "This is where my heart is at." You know, and that to me, I saw that as a type of strength. You know, and I think also, you know, the offense with the idea of just children being these worthless little bastards and these little troublemakers and little pain, but they're gonna get they cop blocking. You know, like whatever these guys are thinking. You know. It's like I think about it, I say, wow, I was that child. And I remember my father having a moment with me where he told me, he said, the main reason I wanted to marry your mother is because I met you and I fell in love with you when you were 3 years old. And I felt like you needed me. And I was like, yeah, I did need you. And I said, you gave your whole life up for me. He said, yeah. And I'm just sad that we, and I think that's where when people ask me, like, what are you doing? Like people, you know, said I was coming after Kevin Samuels. I don't got no problem with Kevin Samuels. I'm just simply saying, let's get out here and have this broader conversation so that men don't think that that just in a one-dimensional way when it comes to our women and our children. That's not acceptable. So, Madam President, please go ahead. I know you've been very patient. Please go ahead.
No, I've been patient, but I've just enjoyed everything. And Dr. Alicia, I know that you're absolutely right. I think the root of the connection should always be love, because I feel like when it's rooted in love, then all the other stuff can come easy. But I think that everybody on this panel have been in love and have been out of love with that same person that they've once been in love with. So we do have to be like other communities and start being logical and practical and decision oriented and futuristic along with loving. Also, I wanted to say what Jeff mentioned something important in the rise of feminism, excluding Black men. But I also want Jeff to always keep in mind that the rise of white supremacy has always removed Black men out of households. Absolutely. So Black men being removed out of households create scenarios where Black women have to they have to take care of the household. So when I have to go out, if a Black woman has to go out and tell the people, hey, I'm in this household by myself, ain't no man taking care of me, pay up if you want me on this assembly line, then I think that's justified. It's not that she is trying to, be the man or remove the man. It's just that, hey, this world has left me alone to fend for myself and to fend for the children. And I have to be accountable and responsible for that. And I need every dime that y'all got to give. The same dime that you would give that man who's taking this job as a police officer, who's taking this job as a teacher. I need you to give it to me. And another thing that I wrote down is single mothers. I think that if Black men can hold other Black men as accountable as they want to hold Black women, then we will stop having this conversation about single mothers. I'm so damn tired of the woman is the only person being responsible for the child. I'm sick and tired of the woman have to carry the burden of being a single mother. If there's a single mother around, then there's also a single fucking father around, and that is a problem. Everybody willing to lay up with the single father, but people looking at the mother like she created this child by herself. And we need to hold people accountable. If we can be real about our community, then we will say, no, he ain't taking care of his kids. He can't come to the cookout. Now his son ain't seen him in the last year. He can't come to the basketball game. But if y'all Black men start checking each other like y'all want to check these women, then guess what? We'll have real men in this conversation and be this won't be an issue anymore. There is no single mother without a single father.
Go ahead, Trey.
I just wanted to say, Dr. Alicia made some points too about Ciara. Why does everybody have a problem that Ciara loved herself enough to walk away from a situation that she saw was unhealthy for her? More of us as Black women have to be willing to say, I have to get out of this unhealthy situation. It's toxic. This man is not taking care of his kids. And I just need to get away from this. So many people are so mad at her. So many people are so used to Black women suffering through it, staying with a man. I forgot the woman's name. And there's quite a few women. What's her name? Emily from Love and Hip Hop is all over the place with Fabulous. Because now Fabulous, now that you're ready to settle down, after she had to suffer, and it's a shame for us as Black people that we have to suffer and suffer and suffer and suffer and suffer and suffer and finally get the queen seat, that when somebody says, I'm getting out of here, like Cassie finally got out of the relationship with Diddy, like Ciara finally got out of the relationship with Future. They were unhealthy relationships, but so society has us thinking as Black women that we're supposed to stay in relationships and suffer through it and suffer through it and suffer through it, and then you a ride or die, then you a queen. No, we have to take it upon ourselves as women to say that this is not a healthy situation for me. As much as I love this, as much as I want, you cannot change that does not want to change. And sometimes we have to get off of the boat that is sinking and save ourselves. And for so long, society has us saying, if you walk away from a man, you're not a ride or die. You're not supportive. You're not empathetic. Yes, we are. But I feel like this. A lot of us as Black women are enablers. You know what I'm saying? We have to hold men to a higher standard. We have women who are fighting over men. And I have a movement called #NoSideChicken, where I expect women to honor God and respect each other's relationships. We want men to change, but we'll be the wife who stays with the man who's cheating, and we'll be the side chick who's fighting over the man when we both should leave, because we are enabling him and not expecting a change from him. How do we expect a man to change when we're rewarding him for his poor behavior? So for Ciara to say, look, I'm getting off of this ride. Okay, I thought maybe I was the one and I could change you, And if I'd have known that, I probably wouldn't have had a baby with you. But sometimes you have that hope. So we have to be accountable as women to say that this is toxic, this is not healthy. I'm going to take myself out of the situation. And I applaud Ciara and I applaud Kathy for getting themselves out of that situation and then actually ending up with men who actually honored them and married them. So we have to get that and say.
So let me jump in. Let me jump in. Okay, so you've done a really good job, Trey, of explaining where men need to be held accountable, or sorry, that women should hold themselves accountable by holding men accountable. That's what I was hearing, actually. So what I don't hear a lot of is where are women coming up short? Like, because we could talk all day about men putting women through pain and agony, but here's one thing I hear. There's a documentary out there that's very popular called Frustrated. And it's about black men. Now, these are some guys that actually called me a simp. They did. I saw the documentary. I watched a little video about it. And then I followed the guy's channel. I was like, this is really interesting stuff to kind of hear this perspective. And then I saw another video where he did a whole video saying I was a simp. And I said, well, brother, if you just
see that,
talk to me, we could have had a conversation, and we still have that conversation because the fact that I'm not a simp means that I can still talk to you, even though you might be a simp because you up here talking crazy about stuff you don't know nothing about. But here's the thing, that documentary Frustrated was worth watching because there are millions of black men who don't feel heard. There are millions of black men who have also been hurt. When I see Kevin Samuels do a video, which sometimes the stuff is hard to digest. Some of that stuff does need a counterpoint. No question about it. But I see thousands and thousands of people, a lot of men who are there because, and I think Alicia would agree, that they are traumatized. They have gone through some shit. They have gone through baby mama drama. They have had their kids taken away from them. They've gone through a divorce and lost everything. They have gone through, so this narrative that only women can be hurt and only men can be predators, I think that's incorrect. And so to your point, I think that as we pressure men to hold men accountable, like you better take care of your damn kids, I'd like to look for that space where women also are doing the same thing with women.
Wait a minute, I hold women accountable. That's what I do. I remove men from the equation on my platform and I hold women accountable for their part in infidelity because we are the antidote to the infidelity problem. Because if we weren't willing to sleep with somebody else's man, men wouldn't have a space to go to cheat. And on my platform for men, Men Hurt Too is the name of my book. I allow men to come on the platform, and I have 37 episodes on YouTube where I allow men to share their truth without interruption. What do you need? What is it that we are doing wrong as women? Because we don't know, because we sit around and we have conversations about y'all, but we are not men. And I refuse to hear that because I have 3 sons who are 26, 21, and 11. And I know I did damage to them because I committed adultery and I left their father for another man and it wrecked their lives. So I had to come back and correct myself. So I hold women accountable and I built a platform, Men Hurt Too, so that I could learn based on what I did to my boys and that they are hurting, because I had a conversation with my son and he was really devastated from everything that went on from the age of 9. And I didn't realize he even knew that I was sleeping with another man. He said, I knew that since I was 9 years old. And he said, and I had a conversation and I said to him, well, how did that make you feel about women? And he said, it didn't make me feel any way about women. It made me not want a woman like you. So I get it. I totally get it. And I was cool with that because it changed my life around, because they were in my car of life and they went down every bump and dark alley and everything I did. So I do understand. And that's why the name of my book is dedicated to my son, is Men Hurt Too, because I get it.
Okay. All right. Jeff, Jeff or John? I haven't heard from Jeff or John in a while. John. So what do you guys think about what you've been hearing so far? I'd like to hear from just from the men as well, just to see where you guys are standing on some of this.
Just to speak to some of the things Madam President said, she was talking about how like feminism and things like that is all due to white supremacy. And that is very true, because that goes back to the music thing that I was talking about, right? Music is mass marketed, especially music, because it all was our whole conversation revolved around Russell Wilson and Future, right? So I always want to take it back to there. Future's music is marketed to people that look like me, the people that look like y'all, like the people to us. And so what we hear when we listen to that music is what he's saying. And they're talking about getting the best looking woman, going out here doing all the things that you're doing, and there's supposed to be no repercussions, because when you look at Future, you see him with all the money, you see him with all the clothes, you see him with all the cars, and so it don't look like it's. I mean, it look like that's a lavish lifestyle. If I can have 9 baby mamas and drive around and throw $100,000 at the strip club and stuff like that, that looks cool to a lot of people. Right? Like that looks like that is a reality and something that's actually attainable, but in reality, it's not. Right? Like that is not realistic for 99.9% of the people that living in this world. Right? You got the rare 0.1% of rappers like the Future or whoever, they get to do that. They get to go out here and have all these kids and not be able to take care of them, or if he is, I don't know, but and do whatever you want and still make a whole bunch of money. But in the reality, when you have a whole bunch of kids, you normally have a whole bunch of debt, or you normally go to jail, right? Like if you're on child support, or you're on the papers, you're in the court system, all that type of stuff. So that's not reality for a lot of folks, but that is what's mass marketed to our people. So that is kind of a lifestyle. That is one, and that goes back to your white supremacy point that you brought up, because that is what the game is rigged for you to do. Like that's how it's rigged. That's how it's rigged for you to go out here, have all these bunch of baby mamas, and think you're gonna live like Future, but in reality, you're gonna live like Day Day, who's in the jail system. like Buddy from around the street, around the corner, that's locked up every other week because he's late on child support payments. Right? Like that is the reality. So it definitely touched on. I really heard that point because I actually know these people, right? The people that have these multiple baby mamas, and the people that are in and out of jail because they can't catch up on child support payments, the people that are in the court system because of things like that. So people are always on your back because of things like that. So that really resonated with me when Madam President said.
And even with Future, like, you know, we don't. I mean, everything that glitters ain't gold. You know, every rapper is shining, but they ain't really shining when you get beneath the surface. When you lift the hood up on their personal life, you find a lot of garbage going on, a lot of crazy situations, and also it gets real bad when the money stops, when the checks stop coming in. That's when it gets real crazy. You see that with a lot of former athletes. John, I see you had a reaction to that. What are your thoughts on that? I know, John, I don't know if y'all know this. John was a superstar football player back in the day. That was how we met at the University of Kentucky. I wasn't no athlete. I was okay. But John was very celebrated as a college athlete. He just ran into an injury. But you know a lot of guys, and you've seen that stuff up close. Did you have any thoughts that you wanted to add to what Jeff just said, John?
Okay, first of all, I've been an athlete. I have been in the music and entertainment industry, so I've been able to see this from a lot of different angles. And what it all boils down to is if you have money, fame, status, power, recognition, women are going to flock to you. That's just a fact. And it's been like that, and it will probably always continue to be that way. Now, when it comes to relationships, what I feel like is that we don't look at the basic steps of getting to know people anymore. Like I said, social media, we relate to people different. We get to know people differently. When it comes to getting a relationship, I don't think people look at love, compatibility, trust, moral compass, values. We don't look at that. We just look at material things. It's like men and women have been pitted against each other, and the only thing we see each other as is conquest and material come-ups. That's all we see each other as. And we as a people need to check that within ourselves. Now, when it comes to holding accountability, ain't nobody on this planet held more accountable than the black man. You can look down every doggone social media post, every newspaper. We are getting attacked front to back all day long, 24/7. However, a lot of women are not held accountable. Now, of course, if there is a single mother, of course, there's a single father. But we also have to look deeper. The split between that man and woman is not uniform. There are different reasons why they split. But we know, and also we have to look at just look at the fact that I'm just going to swing back to Russell Wilson and Ciara. There's nothing wrong with what happened between them. I love to see black love. I love to see black people loving on each other. We need more of it. We need more of it. However, I do think that in the way the simp talk came around is because Future is looked at as cool. Russell Wilson is a straight-laced, straightforward guy, doesn't get in trouble, and he's looked at as a lame. And now we also got to look at this too. At the time they got together, Ciara's older than Russell Wilson. And like I said, you look at who she came through: Bow Wow, 50 Cent, Mari Stoudemire, Future, and then she wants to go settle with the lame guy. That's why they're calling him a simp. Now, whether it's true or not, that's not even I don't care. Because if Russell Wilson is good enough for Ciara and Ciara is good enough for Russell Wilson, then that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's not like Russell didn't have his options as well. Ciara has her options, and they chose each other. So maybe Russell, because we don't know who he dated. Maybe he, Ciara dated some hoes. Maybe he dated some hoes, if you want to call it that, if you want to use that term.
We know about that white woman, though. Like
exactly.
I'm sure Russell has a list of experiences that he had before he got there. And I think, and what I see is a situation where they said, okay, this is a little bit different than things we've had before. Now we're building something that's more structured. We're building a family. We're building legacy. We're raising children. There are other people involved. We're making a public commitment. That's very different from just, meeting somebody in the club and deciding you want to hang out for a few months or whatever, right? So I think that a lot of people that maybe critique that relationship, they assume that you're choosing on the same criteria when you are a married man with $200 million in your empire at stake versus when you're just a single man who's out here just trying to go, have some fun. Those are two different criteria, and I think I'm sensitive to that. And actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop talking because I'd like for every panelist to give us kind of a final thought. But one thing I'll say is that that's one thing that I thought about, because I remember having people that would say, look at all the girls that are attracted to you now, and look at all the all the fun you could be having, and I'd be like, yeah, I had a little bit of fun, yeah, but I don't want that. That's not of interest to me. It's just because it's there don't mean I gotta go indulge in it. Just because it don't mean it interests me. And again, it's an evolutionary process. Maybe if I was 24, I would have seen it different. But you get to the point where you really trying to do something, like you really trying to, you're trying to build an empire. You got millions of dollars on the line. You got all kinds of stuff going on, and you like, I don't need no crazy ass situations in my life. I'm not bringing you in just because you got a big butt and a smile. I'm gonna bring you in because you are prepared to sit next to me as the queen and go to war with me and help us to really build something and take care of these children and do what we're supposed to do. So I think that we have to understand that there's evolutions to this. And I would personally say, I know that in a lot of parts of different parts of the world, like in Africa, I had a friend that lived in Botswana, and she told me that in her village, she said that if you're a man and you're just looking to, just kind of play around or whatever, they allow you to do that, but they don't see you as a real man. They say, well, you're like a little boy to them until you make a commitment, until you take a responsibility, until you show yourself to be a pillar in the community that people, the children and the women and everyone can rely on you as an adult. When you just out here trying to sling your penis around, they're not going to say nothing about it, but they're going to kind of, in the back of their mind, they're like, okay, you're not really, you don't matter yet. We don't even see you. So anyway, so what I'm gonna do, what I'd like for everybody to do, I didn't mean to talk so long. I apologize for that, but I'd like every panelist, if you could, maybe in 90 seconds or so, give us a final statement, a parting statement where we can kind of walk away smarter, better people. This is a platform for intelligent Black people, and I hope everybody appreciates this conversation because our goal is to elevate these discussions. So if everybody watching could just take a second, hit the thumbs up button real quick, hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. We're trying to build Black media. We want to make sure this voice is heard in conjunction with all the ignorance, because y'all know ignorance is out there everywhere, and we're trying to battle that. So we're the vaccine, and the ignorance is the coronavirus. So please help us fight the virus by pushing our media out there. So I'm gonna start with Rebecca. Do you have what are your parting thoughts, Rebecca, that we can kind of walk away with today?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know exactly what to say, but something I learned about you today, Boyce, is that your father married your mother due to you. That was a powerful statement, just because a man came into your mother's life and saw that you were someone. You weren't some rugrat. You weren't a problem. You were someone, and he wanted to be there for you, and in turn be there for her, for you. I commend him, and I don't even know him, so I don't know what to say about this situation. I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about this situation for another week because this is all that's been on social media. But we need more men like that. And I'm not telling guys to go and find a baby mama and wife her. I'm just saying, look at the children. Our children are the future of our community. And if we see them as problems, if we see this woman being a single mother as a problem, well, I guess our problems are going to still be here.
Wow. Well, thanks for saying that. Your response actually touched me, because it when I thought about that, that was one of the few times in my life, because my biological father abandoned me. He wasn't there. And to just know that this person literally sacrificed his life for me, that really played a big part in my self-worth, to say, wow, I was really worth somebody making that level of a sacrifice. And I don't know how I would have felt if he just saw me as a little problem waiting to happen, So I don't know, but thank you for saying that. So I'm just going across the board. So Dr. Alicia, ma'am, what are your thoughts, man? What would you like to leave us with?
Oh, I think that Boyce, me and you together, and people like your dad, and even Russell Wilson and Ciara, I think people like us, we are raising the standard. We are raising the standard of the love between a Black woman and a Black man, that it can be respectful, that it can be something that is positive and inspiring to other people. Like I'm so overwhelmed by some of the comments we've been getting about how inspired people have been to go live a healthy lifestyle because we ran the Chicago Marathon, to want to eat better because, you lost all that weight. I would hope that, we will get married really soon, sooner. We'll make that announcement really quickly. But I would hope that we would inspire other people. And that's what I hope that Boyce, you and I are able to do. And people like Russell Wilson, of course, is inspiring and raising the standard, and to know that it's not unattainable. Like, I think that, couples right now, you go home and love your spouse. That's the best thing you can do, to love your children. Love the person that you're with, have the ultimate level of respect for that person, and don't fall below. And if you do fall below, apologize, demonstrate to your children in your households what it means to show that kind of love, because you don't want your children to grow up and to see that type of love and to say, oh, he's just simping. That's just awful. No, you want them to be able to recognize it and make that normal for Black families. Make this normal. Right. Anything outside of that, we're looking at it like, that's strange. That's not really a Black man. That's not really a Black woman. So that is my big takeaway for today. And thank you, Boyce, for inviting me on. I really appreciate it. I love coming on here. Panelists, you all were so wonderful today. And I'm sitting back here just listening to everyone talk, because y'all are just awesome. So thank you, everyone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, thank you. And those are very kind words. And by the way, I should mention this. Alicia is a licensed relationship therapist. And I always joke that I always thought that marrying a relationship therapist would be a lot of fun. And and I will say that it is a lot of work. And so if anybody wants to check out our website, feel free. The URL's right there on the screen. Okay, so Madam President, what are your final thoughts that you'd like to share with us today?
Well, Alicia and everybody, I just would like to say, it was good seeing everyone. Thank you for having me, Dr. Boyce. I always appreciate seeing you good Black folk. And I just think a lot of times when I think about love, I think about Farrakhan, who said that God is of man and woman, stern like a father, and kind and generous like a mother. So a lot of times when we're operating in our highest self, we can be stern, but we can also be soft. And that's some of the attributes of godliness and divineness. And I just want to just leave the brothers and sisters with, we are never at odds. We are never one another's enemy. We are always together. And there is nothing rooted in liberation like Black love.
That's right. Black love is revolutionary. Everybody put the hashtag Black love in the chat, because I want us to all walk out of here loving each other. So everybody who's on that same page, that love matters and love is powerful and Black love is important. Black love is Black power. Put the hashtag Black love in the chat. because I want us to focus on love. I think love is a powerful energy. So Jeff Lightsey Jr., your final thoughts.
So our topic of conversation today was the Russell Wilson versus Future conversation, and just it was based off a social media post Dr. Boy saw it, and a lot of times social media is being created or geared towards young people. So I'd imagine it was a young person, probably somebody in their 20s that made that post, right? That said they want Russell Wilson with a future attitude or whatever it was, right? Well, Doc, you made a good point early on, and I just want to reiterate it. That isn't true, right? Like that, you don't get a Russell Wilson out of a future. So in the end, you have to evolve, like someone said on the panel. People have to evolve and have to realize the only way to get that love, to get that person, is that when you grow into that person. You can't get that when you're not ready, right? So at that moment, Ciara, whoever, you just insert your name if you're that person. At that moment, she wasn't ready to have a Russell Wilson or to be in a relationship that was that way. She went through her lumps, or she went through her trials and tribulations or whatever relationships, and that wasn't a problem because at the end of the day, she got what she wanted. And so and for all of us, sometimes it takes some lumps, some bumps and bruises, some knocks on the head or whatever to finally get to that person or get to that stage that we want to get to. And that's what happened with Ciara, and that will happen to everybody in this panel if they wanted to. So.
All right. Yeah, Jeff, you're 25, right?
Yeah.
I think that's great. so smart and mature. All right. And I mean that. I wasn't being facetious at all. I mean, he's a very smart guy. And by the way, Jeff is on the blackbosschannel.com, and he's on there every single day. So you should check him out. He's extremely good at what he does. Trey Kearney, your final thoughts, ma'am.
My final thought is I love everything Dr. Alicia said. We have to come to terms with the fact that dysfunction is not normal. Dysfunction is not normal. Healthy love is normal. And we've been programmed to think that dysfunction is normal. So we have to get to a place of simultaneous healing where Black men and Black women are healing together, because we have all of these platforms for women. We go to retreats. We go to empowerment conferences. We read books. We have book clubs where we are healing. And then we are running into men who don't have the resources to heal from childhood trauma and things of that nature. So I believe that we have to have simultaneous healing. And once we get to that point of being healed, we can be whole together.
Wow. I thought that was a powerful point. I like that. DINN. Dysfunction is not normal. I think we need to make that a hashtag. Seriously. I mean, I really think that. I mean, really, everybody put hashtag DINN in the chat. Dysfunction is not normal, because this dysfunction is marketed to us all the time. And now we think up is down and down is up. And then we wake up one day and say, oh my God, we're so oppressed. How did this happen? Well, you keep getting oppressed because you keep oppressing yourself. Now the white man done outsource white supremacy to Black people. We're the ones that are participating in this, and it's kind of crazy. So John, you are John F. Thomas. You actually work out in Hollywood and LA, and you made movies, and you talk about the marketing of dysfunction. You seem to. I think you're a ground zero in a lot of that. So what are your parting thoughts today in terms of what we can walk away with that'll make us smarter, better people?
I feel like we need to get back to the core strength of the Black family, like in the past that we've had, not only during post-slavery and the pre-crack pandemic, but back in Africa, what they don't teach us about. So we have to get back to our roots. In Africa, the family is important. In every culture in Africa, the family is important, and it still holds true today. But too many of us have been buying too much into the white supremacist and or European feminist agendas and the thoughts being pushed onto us where Black women feel like they don't need a Black man. There's some Black men who prefer having hoes to having a wife, where Black women don't feel like they need to listen to a Black man, where there's Black men that aren't listening to Black women. And even though every other culture where the man and the woman listen to one another. And Black men and women can just we can just do whatever without any kind of accountability that I'm putting on myself, and you can't hold me accountable. And we need to get away from all of this stuff and get back to the roots of, look, it's okay to hold myself accountable. I need to hold myself accountable in order for me to grow. I want to hold you accountable because I want you to grow. It's not because I don't want you to live a life, but I want you to grow. It's like a healthy critique, in a sense, because I see what you're doing, but I want you to do better. I know you can do better, and I believe in you. That's why I'm telling you this just a little tweak to improve. And that's what we need to work on. And I just saw some of the comments here and there where there are still some people in there that saying, man, I don't want somebody to, I want my own kids, which I get that because I would prefer to have my own kids. But at the same time, some of these people can't make mistakes. So there are some men out there who have had kids with some women and that didn't work out for whatever reason. They made a mistake too, but they get a chance. Why can't these same women who have kids, why can't they have a chance as well? So we need to have more sympathy towards one another, be more sympathetic and empathetic, and not just be at each other's throats. Really listen, not listen to respond, but listen to understand. And it's my two thoughts.
All right. I like that. I like listen, not just listen to respond, but listen to understand. That sounds like some therapy talk. And I'll tell you what, that's but I think it's true. It's accurate, very accurate. So John Harris. Now John is also on the Black Boss Network. He does a lot of stuff on the Black Boss channel with the brother that does Farmer Brown. Farmer Brown,
the MC.
Yeah, they're really big on agriculture and stuff like that. And you guys, have often heard us talk about Black economic survival. Having our own land, growing food, things like that. I'm gonna put the URL for the Black Boss channel up, and you should check out what John and the Farmer Brown, the MC, do. They do a lot of stuff on Black agriculture, which is extremely important. So, really, John, what are your final thoughts and parting thoughts for today?
Okay. Sometimes I feel like I'm analog in a digital world, but this is what I think. First of all, men and women, devoid of color, doesn't matter. Men and women need to take the time to vet each other and step forward with pure intentions about what they want from that person or a relationship. That's one. Two, if you prefer or choose a toxic person, whether that's the bad boy archetype or the city girl archetype, please don't look for sympathy if your choice does not turn out well. That's your choice. Learn from it and move on. Third of all, we need to value ourselves, value each other. Without each other, there is no us. And we need to realize that and understand that it just might be someone's plan to make sure that the Black man and Black woman stay pitted against each other. Because that's the only way. That's the only way, and the easiest way that we're gonna lose. We won.
All right. Well, I love that. I like that practical advice. And also just to share that URL, the blackbosschannel.com. That's where both Johns and Jeff actually do a lot of commentary on their platform. So if you're into what Black men think, and I think everybody should be listening to Black men and also listening to Black women, check out the blackbosschannel.com. They talk about sports and stocks and agriculture and hip hop and everything else in health and everything in between. So feel free to go check that out. All right. So now the one thing about the Black Boss channel too, which I hope all you guys will subscribe, is I do believe, and I heard Trey and also Rebecca talking about security, and also I hear men saying I expect a certain amount of respect, I expect a certain amount of authority. And one of the things I was honest with Alicia about when I said to her, one of the things I loved about her was I said, I like the fact that you give me respect and you allow me to have authority, and I don't know where that comes from, but just as a man, that's really important. If I don't have some sort of respect, I'm not going to be there. And but one of the things I also know about boss, and I like that word boss, it's very important in my mind, because I really think that we're in a battle with this white supremacy thing. Everybody wants to be our boss, but I'm not into that. Is that there's a cost to be the boss. So what I challenge the men to consider is, when you say you want to be the boss, what cost are you paying to be the boss? You ain't gonna be you're not the boss just because you're there. You're not the boss just because you have a penis. You're not the boss just because somebody told you were. Your mommy told you that you should be the boss. No, you earn that. You must earn that respect. And I'm gonna just tell you like this: I really believe to the core of my heart that most Black women I have met, women who have options for sure, most Black women I've met they have a very difficult time respecting a Black man who is always on his knees begging other men to take care of him, or always whining about his problems as opposed to trying to solve them. I have found that a lot of women will even stand by you if you fail, but they have a harder time standing by you if you didn't even try. Right. And some of our men are the walking dead. And so, and that's not to say that's not true for women as well, right? We know the toxicity exists on both sides of the gender spectrum, but I will say at the end of the day, I think that what we're really talking about is to John's point about practical advice, identifying good people and trying to avoid toxic ones, right? You know, taking that time, get to know people before you lay down with them and start having kids with them or whatever it is you're doing. Identify what types of people you want to be with. And then the other thing too is when you identify those people, I think self-improvement, a commitment to self-improvement, you know, paying that cost to be the boss or paying that cost to be the queen. You're not a queen just because you're a black woman. You're a queen because you earned the right to be a queen. I know what queens look like and I know what the non-queens look like. Cardi B's not a queen to me. Maybe she's a queen to Offset. God bless her for that. But you ain't selling WAP to 7-year-olds and have me calling you a queen. That's not what queens do where I come from, right? So I think that what I'm really seeing is you're talking about, you go back to the community, we're talking about building, we're talking about teamwork, we're talking about working together, we're talking about accomplishing things together. Well, in order to do that, everybody on the team has to work to be the best player on that team that they can possibly be. Right, just like a football team. Everybody has to come to practice. Everybody's got to be willing to do the work. If you're not willing to do the work, then you should get off the team. And so one thing I'll say is this is going to be my last point I'll leave on this. I talked to a young brother who was very successful, and he was very frustrated. Like that film is called Frustrated, and I got the frustration because a lot of our men and a lot of our women are frustrated. And one thing he told me was he said that he was dealing with his child's mother who wouldn't let him see the baby and that they were married and he said I said, well, did you try therapy? I said, because Alicia tells me therapy is good and she's always giving it to me and I take it reluctantly and it works about 80.4% of the time. And he said something that I thought was really interesting. He said she refused to get any type of therapy, but she's been through one trauma after another, every type of trauma you can imagine. She's seen it, but she refused to get therapy. And I said, okay, there you go. That's point number one. When you pick the next queen in your life, do not pick a woman who is not willing to get therapy. And I think the same thing would go if she was a woman talking about men. If somebody thinks they have it all figured out, they just don't. Relationships are hard as shit. They're complicated. People are confused. Everybody's got baggage. If you're with somebody who's not willing to do the work, then that is really difficult to do. You're trying to solve a very difficult process without getting any help. And one thing I can tell you is that there are people out there, professionals and books and even YouTube videos that can help you solve these problems. So you got to make a decision. Like either you're trying to make this work or you're not. And if you say you're trying to make it work, but you're not willing to do the work, then you ain't really trying to make it work. So that's all I'm saying to you is that if you want to make it work, then be willing to do the work. Do you get what I'm saying? Give me a yes in the chat if you follow what I'm saying. I hope that this conversation helps you because, again, we're not just here to run our mouths about Ciara and Russell Wilson. They're millionaires. They're going to be fine. We're here to talk about you, and I want your life to be better because we had these discussions. So I want to say thank you so much to our panelists. If you could take a second, give them all a digital thank you, a digital round of applause for giving their time. They didn't have to do this. I am so appreciative and grateful to every single one of you. Also, everybody in the audience, thank you for joining us. Please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button before you go. And also go check out the Black Boss channel or the Black Business School or something like that. We have a lot of resources available for you. And I want to see you happy. I want to see you succeed. And most importantly, I want to see our people win, and we will win because we're like Russell Wilson with the Seahawks. We know how to score touchdowns, and we don't allow losers on our team. So God bless everybody. Take care. We'll see you soon. Be good.